Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate. At the forefront of political leaders demanding leniency for Muhammad Afzal is the former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir and now the patron of the National Conference. But on what basis does he make this appeal and how does he stand up to his critics? Those are the two key issues that I shall raise today in an exclusive interview with Farooq Abdullah. Dr. Abdullah, Muhammad Afzal has been sentenced to death for conspiracy to wage war against India, a verdict upheld by the Delhi High Court and the Supreme Court, and yet you claim that he's innocent. On what basis do you make that claim?
Well, Karan, I make that claim first on the basis of the lower court, where he wrote twice to the judge asking to appoint a lawyer who would defend him, that he would suggest the name. It was turned down. His appeal repeatedly to the judge again turned this thing down, and he was taken to the Supreme Court.
Are you therefore suggesting, when you say that Muhammad Afzal is innocent, that he hasn't had a fair trial?
Yes.
And that the implementation of the death penalty would be a miscarriage of justice?
Yes, I do.
But how can you, as a non-lawyer, put yourself in judgment over the Supreme Court?
As far as Supreme Court, judges are also fallible. It is the evidence that is put before the judge. He will give sentence on that. Unfortunate problem is already the lower court, which had given the sentence, and that was taken to the higher court. If he had got the right judge, the lawyers at that stage, I am confident that his case at that stage would have been proved that he is not directly involved in this.
You're referring to what you consider infirmities in the trial. I put it to you that on two separate occasions, August 2005 and September 2005, the Supreme Court reviewed the verdict. It did it in full consideration of all the facts that you're talking about, and it still stood by the death sentence. So at the end of the day, the Supreme Court has considered these infirmities, overruled them, and stood by the death sentence. Why then do you claim he's innocent?
Because, one, he himself was never there in the Parliament House. One, they say he supported, he helped the terrorists in coming. I also say one thing, that he was also a conduit used by BSF in Srinagar to do Pakistan.
Can I interrupt? You're suggesting that just because he didn't directly participate in the attack on Parliament, therefore he isn't worthy of the death sentence?
No.
But an abettor in law is as guilty as those who carry out the attack.
I agree with you.
That's the basis of the sentence.
But the point here is, also remember one thing. He himself says that he was beaten, he was tortured, and at the all those things they told him. And I believe also if you talk to him, he will say that they told him if he says some of these things, the clemency will be there and he will be relieved.
Quite right, and the court records show, as Nandita Haksar, his defendant herself has admitted, that the court has noted all of these, and yet after noting them, the court has still decided that the death sentence is warranted. So how can you turn around and say that the Supreme Court hasn't taken this into consideration?
I do say that all those things Supreme Court has taken, but had he got the right lawyer? Now he got a lawyer, a very eminent lawyer for the Supreme Court. What does he say? He says, no, don't hang him, give him a lethal injection.
That lawyer was at the High Court level. You're talking about Colin Gonsalves.
Exactly.
But at the Supreme Court level, let me come back to that.
Yes.
When the appeal was heard in August 2005, despite all the infirmities being recorded and being admitted, the Supreme Court at that moment in time chose to acquit Gilani and Afsan Guru. It chose to reduce the sentence of Shaukat Guru, but it chose at the same time to stand by the death sentence for Muhammad Afzal. Clearly, the Supreme Court considered the matter, it considered the infirmities you allude to, and then still stood by the death sentence.
Yes, but have you heard Gilani since then?
But Gilani is not a lawyer.
No,
he's not a judge.
No, he's not a lawyer. But he was charged also, very much charged in this case. Gilani himself says that this sentence is too harsh for the man like this.
But Gilani is bound to say it. He's an associate of Afzal. Gilani is not a lawyer, he's not a judge, he's not a non-partisan man.
But do you know what the police said? Police was hunting him, and police kept on telling Gilani that we will get you hanged. The evidence put forward by the police is not
you're not a lawyer.
Absolutely infallible.
Dr. Abdullah, the point is this, you're not a lawyer, you have no legal experience, yet today you're putting yourself in judgment over not just the Supreme Court, but over two separate verdicts given by the Supreme Court, both of which were taken in the full light of all that you're talking about. Yet still you claim to know better than the court.
No, it is something which I'll tell you. The three people involved in this, Maulana Azhar, the two other chaps who are in Pakistan, they are not here. The point here is, if Pakistan can extradite those people here, you will find that the same court will come to a verdict of a lesser sentence than death.
In other words, you're saying,
but once if he's hanged,
you're saying that the Supreme Court is inconsistent. You're saying that the Supreme Court, in a sense, gives different verdicts to different people.
You see why?
That's an allegation against the court. You could be guilty of contempt.
Supreme Court. I'll tell you of High Court case, lower court case.
No, let's not go to other cases. Stick to this.
No, I'll stick to this. But let me tell you infallibility of the situation. There is a case of Miss Mattu. DIG's son murdered her. And the judge, the case put forward by the police was in such a manner that the judge said, I know you're guilty, yet the case as has been put before me shows directly
Dr. Abdullah, that may be true of another case. It doesn't necessarily mean that in this instance the Supreme Court is wrong. Let me point to you, let me point to you the amazing position you're putting yourself in. On the one hand you claim, as you just have said, that Muhammad Afzal is innocent. On the other hand, you said that he should be given pardon. You've publicly called
not
for...
pardon
you
to
said so?
No.
You said so to PTI on the 1st of October?
No, not death sentence. I said he should be given life sentence, which means whole life in the jail.
But hang on a moment.
Not hanging.
But hang on a moment. This is the contradiction in your position. If you begin by saying he's innocent, if you begin by saying he's been badly tried, mistried, unfairly tried, then how can you then argue that he should be given a life sentence? He should be released free.
Please let me tell you.
You can't have both positions.
No, you cannot have both positions.
So what are you saying?
Understand one thing. One of the things is, once you hang him, and tomorrow, by the evidences that have been put forward, or the evidences that will come back, and suppose it shows that no, his involvement was for much lesser degree than death sentence, how would you feel at that time? Will you be able to bring him out of the grave?
Quite true, but that's a different issue. Let's come back to the point you made. You began by saying that he was innocent. Are you changing your position on his innocence?
No, it's not a question.
Well, is he innocent or not? Just answer that. Is he or is he not innocent?
He is innocent to an extent that the hanging is wrong.
So in other words, he is guilty of something, but innocent only of hanging being wrong.
Yes.
So you accept that the conviction is correct, but the sentence is wrong.
I say the evidence put forward before the honorable judges has been correctly said by them, but the sentence passed by them is too extreme.
So let me repeat this to understand it, because it's very important. The conviction, therefore, is correct, but the sentencing is extreme.
Too harsh.
So in other words, he's no longer innocent. He's rightly convicted. You agree with that? He's rightly convicted. The sentencing is wrong. But you began by saying he was innocent. Now you've moved away from that.
When I say, I don't mean he's completely innocent of what has happened in the parliament.
Okay.
He may be, but his involvement is so small that the sentence is so grave. And the sentence has been passed because taking into consideration of the people's opinion.
So you're simply now arguing for clemency. In other words, you're arguing for commutation of the death sentence into life imprisonment.
Life imprisonment.
You're no longer claiming innocence as you seemed to be at the beginning. In which
I may have been taken wrongly, or I might have been able to put this thing wrongly to you.
Not just to me, you said it to PTI on the 1st of October, you said it to the Kashmir News Service on the 8th of October. They may have misunderstood.
I think they misunderstood.
All right. Let's then take up the point of clemency. Why should he be shown clemency when the essential ingredient for clemency is a sense of remorse? Muhammad Afzal is without remorse. He hasn't even applied for his own clemency. Others have had to do it for him. He's refused to appeal for clemency. So why should he be given clemency?
One, you will be making him a hero for centuries to come, for a man who's of least importance at this time. One. Secondly, you're going to give a massive weapon to the separatists in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, which is vital for India, which is fighting terrorism now for 19 years.
Can I interrupt you? You're saying something that is so amazing because you're contradicting the position you took earlier as Chief Minister of Kashmir. At the time of Rubaiya Saeed's kidnapping, and again at the time when the BJP released Masood Azhar, you fought strenuously to stop terrorists being released. Today, you've done a U-turn and you're contradicting your position.
I am not making any U-turns. Please don't put these words. I am strictly against terrorism. I have always fought terrorism, so much so that my party suffered at the elections because I introduced POTA before Central.
Can I quote to you what you said about the BJP's decision to release Masood Azhar in 1999? I told them, meaning Mr. Vajpayee and Mr. Advani, I told them we were giving in to terrorism. We were not fighting terrorism. I think our senior leaders like Advani and Vajpayee are responsible for the global terrorism that is being spread by the band of men they released. Tomorrow, the same thing could apply to what you're trying to do today. You're as guilty as you accused Advani and Vajpayee of being.
Yes.
You agree?
No, I don't agree with you here. Why I don't agree? Because I see the ground situation. The ground situation has been built on 2 points: that he was not given the justice, that has been sold to the people every nook and corner you go.
And the second?
And the second is that these separatists are saying this is the way they treat Kashmiris.
Let me point out to you that this question of not giving justice is disputed by the fact that the Supreme Court on 2 separate occasions, including a review petition, has upheld the verdict. Surely you can't judge the Supreme Court, so let's leave that aside. Let's come to your second concern. I put it to you that if the death sentence is commuted to life imprisonment, you will encourage further Kandahar-style hijacks to release this man. This one act will fuel terrorism, because here he will be sitting as something that will inspire terrorists to take action to get him released. It happened at Kandahar. Masood Azhar was the penalty India had to pay. It will happen again. You're not fighting terrorism. You're giving in. You're creating it with this.
Look, it's very easy to say you're giving in. I'm not giving in. We are fighting terrorism. Every day we are fighting terrorism. It's not just like this. But are you going to give fuel to terrorists? The ones who are dead? Are you going to give them fuel?
What about the...
Are you going to make people like Gilani and others tomorrow masters of the situation that you already made them?
Let's pause at that point. You've asked a critical question. Let's take a break and come back and talk about the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. You claim that Kashmir could go up in flames if Muhammad Afzal is hanged. Let's see whether that is really a cogent reason for clemency or whether it's blackmail. We'll be back in a moment's time. See you after the break. Welcome back to an exclusive interview with the former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Farooq Abdullah. Dr. Abdullah, let's turn to the political argument for clemency for Muhammad Afzal. You argue that if Muhammad Afzal is allowed to be hanged, Kashmir could go up in flames. And secondly, you said that the peace process would be badly damaged. Soli Sorabji says that those reasons are tantamount to blackmail.
I don't think I want to blackmail either the Supreme Court or blackmail the rest of the nation. The point here is, you want to hang him? Go ahead, hang him. But the consequences of hanging you must also remember.
What will they be?
Now, one of the consequences I'll tell you. One, and I'm very straight and very honest on your program. We have paid the price of Maqbool Bhatt's hanging by the judge that was shot in Kashmir. Let me be very candid on this program with you. Those judges will need to be protected like anything.
You're saying that the Supreme Court judges who sentenced Afzal to death...
Some crook will come and will murder them. Therefore, my request on your program is, for God's sake, see that they are protected. One. Secondly, I'll tell you, this nation will go up in flames because the terrorists will do such things which will destroy the relationship of the Hindus and Muslims here, because one party who are favoring the hanging will go up and shout whatever they can, and the relationship will grow so bad. Now, you have seen Bombay blast, you know, with this, how much there was, that there were thousands of Muslims were put in jails to extract information from them. I don't want such a thing to happen.
You're seriously saying
and second,
that if Muhammad Afzal is hanged, India, not just Kashmir, India will go up in flames?
I am telling you, there are people, crooks can be of any type. I have seen. I have seen them at that level in my own state.
You see Hindu-Muslim riots breaking out across India.
Because some crook, some bad man will go and do something in a temple. Somebody will do in a mosque. Do you think it will not raise tragedies?
In other words,
Kashmir will anyway go in flames.
You're actually saying that the future of India hinges on whether Afzal is hanged or not.
It's not a question of hinges. India will go through. But there will be a turmoil which India will have to face. I'm telling you, this is how I feel. I hope I'm wrong.
Isn't this how a weak state responds? At a moment of tough decision making, you're suddenly scared to execute justice.
Please, hang him. Go ahead, hang him. Face the consequences.
Let me put something else.
Farooq Abdullah is telling you, as an Indian, what may happen. I hope it does not happen. I hope Kashmir does not go in flames. We've been paying price for it for 19 years. Today my people are starving. No tourist goes there. My chief minister is shouting at the top of his voice, come to Kashmir. Nobody wants to come because bombs are thrown in the buses. Bombs are thrown in the places like Gulmarg. How will we survive? I can't give them government jobs.
So you're saying
I can't give them jobs in the rest of the country. Where will I give them a job?
You're saying to me that the future of Kashmir hinges upon whether Afzal is hanged or not?
No. Future of Kashmir depends on Indo-Pakistan relationship. Let me be very honest and candid about it.
Will the peace process suffer or not if Afzal is hanged?
It will suffer because General Musharraf will have a tough time in trying to control his army chiefs of various regions. And some army chief might come up and throw him out. And if that happens, where will this peace process go? It'll go back to zero. Where will we start then?
I gave you ample opportunity to express your anguish, your concern. Let me now put two critical questions to you. First of all, do you realize that the argument that you're making for Muhammad Afzal could be made even in the case of Gujarat? Today, if Muhammad Afzal is let off, because Kashmir could go up in flames, tomorrow the VHP and the Bajrang Dal could argue that people guilty of 2002 should be let off because Gujarat will go.
Kashmir is not Gujarat. Kashmir is still felt by Pakistan to be disputed. Gujarat is not disputed. Part of Kashmir is with Pakistan. It is a much different situation, a much different story.
All right, my second question. You're so concerned that Muhammad Afzal's hanging will destroy the peace process, in which case, why haven't you also appealed to General Musharraf to show clemency to Sarabjit Singh? That too could destroy the peace process, but you're silent on that subject.
No, I am not silent.
You've never said anything.
Because nobody asked me about it.
But go on, say it today. Say it today.
Now you're asking me. I am saying this. First of all, hanging is wrong. In the nations that are around us, hanging is over. I plead in your program to General Musharraf for better Indo-Pakistan relationship.
What about a plea for the life? What about a plea for the life of Sarabjit Singh?
Yes, I'm saying, please do not hang him. Let that be your gesture of goodwill towards India.
Let me come back to the central issue. The BJP says that this is abject, craven populism. That you're kneeling and beseeching people to give you votes because you lost in 2002. You're using Afzal as a way of coming back to power.
If Afzal was going to be part of the power, Farooq would not have been speaking to you. I am not the one who wants to win the election for the heck of it because I'm going to use Afzal's life. Not at all.
This is not populism.
Not at all.
You promised me.
I am not, believe me, I will not be on the stage defending Afzal because I want to win. I would rather lose. I'm not going to be one of those persons like others who are using this.
One last question. You've been outspoken. People will be surprised by the extent of your outspokenness in defense of Muhammad Afzal. Your son, on the other hand, who is the president of your party and could be the next chief minister of Kashmir, hasn't said a word publicly. He's actually scrupulously kept his silence on this issue. Do you know differences?
Karan, I'm 70 years old. He's a young man. He's got his own thinking, his own path. I stand on what I see India. I have seen India in 47. I have seen the massacres of India and Pakistan when it was made. I don't want to see any more blood on my hands. So I want to see the end of these bloods.
We've run right out of time. I want to repeat my question one last time. You are totally sincere in demanding that Muhammad Afzal be given clemency, and this is not populism. This is not a way of ingratiating yourself into favor with the Kashmiri people.
You will never find me using this to win votes. Never.
Dr. Abdullah, thank you for talking to Devil's Advocate.
Thank you.